let's jump into our first color, which is going to be yellow. So in your art box, take a moment to find the color yellow. I'll be using markers today, but you can use crayons or anything you have in your art box with the same colors. So let's start out with our Pete the Cat using yellow on the jacket right here in the middle. So you can get that yellow color and start to color in the top part of Pete the Cat's jacket. And we're going to do this same color on all of Pete the Cat's jacket. He has that long jacket with these big buttons. So what I'd like to do is make these buttons a little later, all different colors, just so we can have a nice fun Pete the Cat page. And let me know in the comments if you enjoy the Pete the Cat books, the famous Pete the Cat books that are out there and available. And if you have any favorites, also let me know in the comments. So let's go ahead now and get in this little area right in here where the jacket ends. And then we can work our way from the bottom to the top. And coloring it in just like so, trying to work around those buttons so we can go ahead and color those in a different color a little later on. Beautiful. So once you're finishing up with that jacket, let's go on to our second color, which is going to be blue. So Pete the Cat is a blue color. So let's go ahead and use a blue, anything similar to this, or if you have something a little different in your art box available, go ahead and grab that. And we're going to start here at the very top with Pete the Cat's ears. So let's go ahead and get that blue and start to put it on the page. And this is going to start to make it look more and more like Pete the Cat, we all know. And just work around these eyes. You can make that line for yourself so you know exactly where to stop. And then you can color it and you have a little more room to work with and be a little more free with your coloring page when you have a little more space. But when you get to these tighter areas where it's a little less space, you want to be extra careful and just take your time. When you get to this nose area, you see how it becomes a little smaller for us. So just be careful and just take your time. A lot of coloring and a lot of art is just taking your time, having a steady hand, and just being patient. So that way at the end you have a beautiful coloring page you can show off to everybody you know. Wonderful. So now let's go ahead. We're about halfway with Pete's face. Coloring above the eyes and moving along as we go, outlining it if we want to, just to make it a little easier for ourselves, and then we can color it in just like that. And once we get around the eye, we'll start to move down on our Pete the Cat coloring page together. So finish that out on the face area. And once you do, we can move on to the neck. So once you finish on the Pete the Cat face, let's move on to the neck. And if we're moving a little fast, you can always hit that pause button if you need to and just jump right back in with us. Okay, so here, the neck area, right above that yellow jacket, we want to make sure we color in as well with your blue. And now once we have Pete the Cat's face and neck, let's skip on down to the area right here that is a little piece of Pete the Cat's body, which will also get blue. That's just below the jacket, where the jacket ends, in between the fun sneakers that he's wearing, which we'll get to in a second. Now we can't forget Pete the Cat's long tail, so let's use the blue there as well. And we can just go around, follow along that long tail, and then we go around that curved end of Pete the Cat's tail, just like that. And once we finish out with Pete the Cat's tail, let's use the blue on one more spot. let's make some colorful buttons. So to do that, let's take that blue and we can use it right here on any button you want. You have the creative freedoms, but I'll pick the second button from the top. So if you want to pick any other button, go ahead. I'm going to make my second button here on Pete the Cat blue, and then we'll make the other buttons a different color just to help us get a nice colorful page at the very end. Perfect. So now that you've colored in Pete the Cat and the button, let's go on to our next color, which is going to be black. So take a moment to find black in your art box, and what we'll do is use the black right here on the outside parts of the eyes for Pete the Cat. So right in here, leave the middle area in white, and then we'll just use black right here on the outside, just like that. And there's a little less room to work with, so just take your time. And let's do the same thing on the right side, just like that. As long as you take your time and focus on this area, you'll have a really nice coloring in the lines. So once you're finished with that, move your black to the side and let's go on to the next color, which will be red. So in your art box, grab your red and let's go ahead and use it on first one of the buttons so we can continue to make them nice and colorful. Right here, I'm going to choose the first button on our Pete the Cat with that red. So any other color you want, get as creative as you want to be. You can color all of these buttons different colors or all the same color, whatever inspires you today, you can go ahead and do. So that's the red one. Now let's go and use this red on the really fun sneakers that Pete the Cat's wearing. So what I want to do is let's leave the top parts white over here, and we're going to color in between all of these laces with that red. So here's what I mean. So here on the left side first, let's start to color all of this in, and then we'll leave all of his laces white. That way it gives us a 2-color look on Pete's sneakers, where the sneaker itself is white, but the middle is red, and the bottoms will leave white as well. So just like that. Leave the bottom white, leave the laces white, and the very top and the front white. So let's do the same thing on the right side as well. So both sneakers match. And if you're using a different color for your sneakers, let me know in the comments. Any color you want to make Pete's sneakers will work just fine. The more colors you get on the page, the better. And the more exciting it looks at the very end. So you're all doing a terrific job. Great work, everyone. Keep it up. We're almost there. And we only have a few colors left. Once we finish with this red right there. So now let's move on to our next color, which is going to be green. So in your art box, find the color green and let's go ahead and use it really quickly on one of our buttons. I'm going to choose the next one down, which is the third button, 1, 2, 3 from the top. So let's go ahead and color this in with that green really quickly and easily. And now we're going to see how all the buttons having a different color just make it that much more exciting on our Pete the Cat coloring page. So with that button colored in, we can move on to our last color, which is orange. So I'm going to use orange for that last button at the very bottom. But again, you can use whatever colors you feel inspired by on your own Pete the Cat coloring page. Hopefully you're having a great time following along step by step with me. And once you have that button colored in with that orange, we are all set. So now we finished coloring in Pete the Cat together using 6 colors.